Hey Internet, this is a 2020 Polaris Ranger EV and just finished a lithium-ion conversion. There's not a whole lot of information out there online, so figured I would make this little video and show you guys what I did. The installation itself was pretty straightforward. Two 51.2 volt 100 amp hour batteries that I ordered online. They came from China and took about, I don't know, a month and a half to get here. I can put the link in the notes. But they fit real nicely, and honestly, not a lot of mods to the chassis or anything like that. I pulled out the stock battery tray here, just the plastic insert, and beneath that, the metal tray did have some folded tabs that I think held the plastic tray in place. So just so that I could set the battery in flat, I used an angle grinder and cut those off. I don't think I'll be going back to the lead acid batteries anytime soon. And yeah, other than that, besides putting a couple holes in places, they all fit really nicely. Got to use all the factory battery cables. Everything was lined up really nicely. So there's the original OEM battery cables there. A few of the things that I had to, or I should say wanted to do, I saw someone else online had put in one of these sort of master kill switches, and I actually had one sitting around and I thought that was a good idea. So have that kind of wired up there and underneath the emergency brake, and then next to it here is the shunt, and that's for this new Renogy battery monitor that I installed in place of the original battery monitor. So the shunt for that's installed here, and it came with a nice 20-foot lead, so easy to wire up the monitor. The battery plus cable is very small and delicate, so I've got that taped up behind. That's going to the top of that contactor there with the other 48 volt power. And those were I just happen to have these nice beefy battery cables laying around. You could do that probably far simpler. So the only tricky stuff really was dealing with the BMS. These batteries have a integrated battery management system. It's usually turned on with this latching switch here, but I didn't want to have to open the seats and turn on the batteries every time I wanted to use the Ranger, and then of course, more importantly, I would just forget to turn them off, and you probably don't want to leave the BMS just on all the time. So what I did was actually install the little momentary switch here. I'll probably replace that with something beefier, more waterproof later. But what this switch is doing is it is wired in parallel with this relay. So the momentary switch turns on the BMS remotely. I basically just bypassed the internal switch to open the cover to the battery and just clipped the wires going to the switch, and instead connected them to this 2-wire cable. And you can see here, if I hold this down, then you can see the BMS turns on, and when I let go, it turns off. So that wouldn't be too handy on its own. You'd be sitting there holding that button down all the time. So what I did is I actually wired in a relay that is, the coil's powered by a 12-volt switched source, which through the wiring diagram I trace back. It's kind of buried in here, but there's a wire. If you have access to the Polaris Ranger wiring diagram, it's number 111 switched 12-volt power supply. That's probably coming from this DC to DC converter. So I've got that tapped, and that's powering the coil that is then activating the relay, which will then give the BMS sustained power. And so you can see here, let's see if I can set this down. If I hold the switch in, turn the key, you can see we have power now. And I've got sustained power going to the BMS. The second relay is just daisy chain, so it's getting the same coil power from the first relay, and all it's doing is sending a signal to turn on the other BMS for the other battery. So 2 relays, 1 for each battery, and once I've got that switched power on, then everything is ready to go. And maybe more importantly, if I turn it off, then power to the BMS is also cut, and I don't have to remember to turn the batteries on and off, because I won't remember to do that. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. I was able to pull the original stock charger off, which I know there wasn't a lot of information out there, and what it ends up coming down to is there's an interlock built into that charger that prevents the vehicle from functioning when it's at a charging state, which makes a lot of sense. But in order to bypass that, luckily somebody had posted this online, it's just these 2 wires here, this brown, yellow, and solid brown. They just need to be jumped. It's just a normally open circuit, I believe, that once you jump that, then you tell the system that you're not charging anything, and everything works as it should. Again, really very little modifications. I'll take you to the other side. It's all pretty clean, and now all kinds of space. I like the new just need to get this new display properly calibrated, so I'm waiting on some specs from the manufacturer, but I'm really happy with this display. It's got a pretty bright backlight. Also, you got your actual voltage, amps going in and out, watts going in and out. It's kind of nice to see the regenerative braking. If I'm going down a hill with my foot off the gas, you can actually see that it's charging the battery, which is nice to see. So aside from just needing to get it calibrated, I'm really happy with the new monitor, and overall feels like a real clean, simple install. Go easy on me. It's my first internet video, but if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them, and good luck. Thanks for watching.